Today, across Syria, mass gatherings are planned to celebrate the end of 50 years of the authoritarian rule of the Assad family. This is a scene now live from inside the courtyard of the Grand Mosque of Damascus, the Umayyad Mosque, where Friday prayers are about to begin.
I'm Martine Croxall. The other main stories this hour. The new head of NATO is calling for the alliance to shift to a wartime mindset and turbocharge its spending to prepare for the threat of a conflict with Russia. The UK economy shrank for the second month in a row in October after official figures showed a 0.1% drop. And the French President Emmanuel Macron is expected to name a new Prime Minister today after the collapse of his government last week.
Thank you for joining us here on BBC News. We're live today from the heart of the Syrian capital, Damascus. We're just above the main square in the city, Umayyad Square, and you can see the roundabout just behind me. It's quiet now, but it will be filled hour after hour as Syrians will come here to celebrate the end of 50 years of President Assad's authoritarian rule and his father before him. It was here last Sunday when Damascus fell to the rebels that Syrians rushed, waving the flags of the opposition, some waving guns in the air to say Syria is now free. In the last hour, a statement has been released by the leader of the main Islamist group, the military commander, Abu Mohammed al-Jolani, who's now using his own name, Ahmed al-Sharaa, rather than his war name. He's now wearing a suit rather than his military fatigues and urging Syrians to come to the public squares today to celebrate, but urging caution, saying don't fire guns into the air, don't terrorize the people, celebrate, but celebrate peacefully. That's a measure of the statements that are now being issued by the new leadership here as they gradually, day by day, put a new interim administration into place. For so many Syrians across the country, this marks a new beginning. And one of the places they will gather today is in the Grand Mosque of Damascus. This is a scene now in the Umayyad Mosque where Friday prayers are about to begin. This is one of the first places where al-Jolani came last week when he and his forces offer prayers and gratitude. And it is after Friday prayers right across this country, a country, it has to be emphasized, is a country of a multiplicity of Islamic and Christian sects, that people will take to public squares, not just here in the capital, but right across Syria. For many Syrians, this now marks a turning point, but for so many, they cannot close the last dark chapter until they know where their loved ones are. Tens of thousands of Syrians disappeared into a black hole, into the country's notorious prisons. And in recent days, Syrians have been combing the hospitals, the prisons, the morgues, to try to find their loved ones alive or some evidence of what happened to them. Our international Jeremy Bowen has this report, but I should warn you, you may find some of the details distressing.
They have to find the missing and identify the dead before they can build a new Syria. 35 more bodies of men killed in prison have arrived, and the mortuary at Mushtahed Hospital is full. The only way to find a missing son or father or brother is to look for yourself.
It is painful. At the same time, we have hope. Even if we find him between the bodies, anything, as long as he is not missing. We want to find something of him. We want to know what happened to him. We need an end to this.
The examination room is full of bodies too. If they can't be identified easily, the medics take tissue samples, building up evidence for DNA tests and future prosecutions.
Have you managed to find out how these men died?
Loss of food, sometimes because of fractures. The bodies are not in a good shape to say the exact reasons, but they have suffered from fractures.
So they've been beaten?
Yes, we think so. I came here yesterday. This was very difficult for me. What future will be? We hope that it will be better, but this is really hard.
The presidential palace, built high on a crag above Damascus, where it can be seen across the city, embodies the arrogance of the Assads, who broke Syria to try to save their regime. It might not be possible to put this fractured country back together. In 2015, I met Bashar al-Assad at a guest palace in the presidential compound. His successors need to act fast to undo the legacy of the war he chose to fight. The same corridor is now a patch of quiet in a country full of weapons, anger, poverty, and calls for vengeance, with dozens of armed groups who want their own slice of the Syria Assad left in pieces. He was extravagantly polite in quite an old-fashioned way. He'd come into the room, he'd leap up off the sofa, then on the way out he'd say, "After you," and they'd hold back the door and walk out first. He didn't seem to be a guy who'd be at home in a torture center, but he certainly seemed to be a guy who'd be very happy giving the orders to get people tortured and killed. On a wall outside Mushtahed Hospital in Damascus are photos of dead men. It is hard to see the person they knew in a gallery of smashed and decomposing faces. The families of the missing get as close as they can. Often all they have are the names and places where they were last seen. Mahmoud, Deir ez-Zor. Sabar, Yarmouk Camp, 2012. Ahmed, Raqqa, 2013. Ali, Damascus, 2013. 50 years of the Assads, 50 years of incarceration, of disappearances, of executions, 50 years of cruelty to the families, the prisoners, to the Syrian people. These people want information, they want a body to bury, and they want a reckoning. My husband Ibrahim, she's saying, taken in Deir ez-Zor in 2012. Everyone had a photo, a name, and a date. The regime drilled so much pain into Syrians that some here are terrified that Assad could even return. A new Syria needs to deliver lives without fear. Jeremy Bowen, BBC News, Damascus.